Hi, my name is Nicholas Shermantazi, and my topic I chose for this was Sudan and the RSF. So, what is happening in Sudan? Just some context of what's going on. It's an ongoing civil war since April of 2023, and the civil war is between its army and a paramilitary group named the RSF, which stands for Rapid Support Forces. Now, this civil war is nothing new to the country of Sudan. There have been years of political unrest, and eventually some of that political unrest spilled over in 2019 with the ousting of then President Omar al Bashir. Now, Omar al Bashir took power in a militaristic coup back in 1989, and civilians wanted a more pro democratic government, which he did not stand for. Now, a military civilian government was established, but eventually this was overthrown in 2021. Now, it was overthrown by two key players of the current civil war, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan of the military, and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, which is the leader of RSF. Now, during this military civilian government, it established 100,000 RSF members, and both leaders of the military and the RSF had different views of what the government should look like, and they both wanted to maintain their power. So tensions began rising between the groups, eventually with shooting between the military and the RSF beginning in 2023 of April. Now, no one really knows who actually shot the first shot, but fighting has gone on since. Now, who are the RSF? They're known as the Rapid Support Forces, and the group formed in 2013 with their origins stemming from a very infamous militia group named the Janjaweed. Now, the Janjaweed themselves were accused of genocide and ethnic cleansing, and both the RSF and Janjaweed share a lot of similar characteristics between one another. Now, the RSF is led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, but the group refers to him as Hamedi, which means little Muhammad. Now, the group has been documented by international organizations as Arab supremacist. As said before, this is one of the two sides of the civil war actors. Allegedly, the group has been supplied munitions and funding by the UAE, which both the RSF and the UAE heavily deny. And I just want to talk about some of the atrocities that I personally have seen during my research for this project. I've seen the RSF hunting civilians while they are in their cars. They are shooting civilians, running through the plains, fleeing for their lives. I've seen random and mass executions with, boys my age being lined up in a line and just being killed for no apparent reason. I've seen mass executions where probably about 100 people were, gathered like cattle and just gunned down. I've seen mass graves through satellite imagery where you can see piles of bodies and bloodstains in the earth from space. I have seen torture videos of people being tortured for ransom, for funding. And I have seen people being ran over repeatedly by military cars because they just disagree with the RSF entirely. Just some statistics. A rough estimate for the deaths is 150,000, but it's likely higher. 12 million people have been displaced, and 25 million have been affected by famine. So how does it connect to class? I wanted to connect it to IGOs, NGOs, and global politics in general. The UN, probably the largest IGO, their children's agency, gave account of armed men sexually assaulting children as young as 1 year old, and it's just truly awful to hear that. The Human Rights Watch claimed that RSF and allied militia were carrying out genocide against the Masalit people and other non-Arab communities. Said the RSF acted with the intent to destroy in whole or in part the Masalit people. Now, this claim went to higher government organizations, including the UN, and the investigation, unfortunately, of genocide fell short. Now, the United States has imposed sanctions on both leaders of the RSF and the military, and has said that the RSF has committed a genocide, writing, "The RSF and allied militias have systematically murdered men and boys, even infants, on an ethnic basis, and deliberately targeted women and girls from certain ethnic groups for rape and other forms of brutal sexual violence." It just truly is awful to hear all of this. And within the next few months, I'm sure this situation will unfold, and hopefully people will get involved. Here are my sources. Thank you very much.